Hi, Ray Middleton here, System Broker at Fulfilling Lives, and welcome to a series of films about Ladder4Life. And that's a learning community that you're welcome to join, so you might want to grab a pen and paper and make some notes about the film. And what you're particularly looking for is some good habits or skills, helpful habits, and also some unhelpful habits where people get stuck. Because this is a learning community, learning knowledge and skills around complex needs. So that's when people have combinations of mental health problems, addiction problems, and other kinds of problems like housing, homelessness, offending, those sorts of combinations of problems.
4 areas it's worth opening up a dialogue about are motivation and direction in life, handling emotions, building relationships, and problem solving as a process. And we put these 4 areas into a story with a picture, Ladder4Life. Here is the story. There was someone who headed off on their journey through life, and they were on track to get to the top of the hill, which represents their desires and hopes for life to the full, which is any way in which they wanted their life to get better in the future. On their journey, they came across rocks on their path, representing the problems we all come across as we journey towards the life we desire. They got out their ladder for life that we all have for overcoming the problems and challenges on our journey. And the rungs of the ladder are made out of the skills or helpful habits that we've learned. And there are 7 rungs of the ladder. And these are, the first rung is sizing up or describing a problem. And the second rung is handling our emotions about the problem. And the third rung is managing conflict around difficulties we've got on our journey with other people or with ourselves. The 4th rung is about asking for help or cooperating when building relationships with others as we journey together. And the 5th rung is about planning solutions. The 6th rung is acting on these plans. And the 7th rung is reflecting on the process and thinking, what have I learned and what can I change as a result? Now, some rungs of their ladder for life were damaged and in need of repair and strengthening. So some problems were too big to overcome with their ladder. And so they tended to get sidetracked into the dead end of the blue forest, which is quite common for us all. And sometimes, reacting to the difficulties on their journey of getting to the top of the hill, they developed some unhelpful habits and got stuck in the quicksand on their journey. The unhelpful habits which developed were combinations of thinking, emotions, and actions. For example, anxious avoidance would be an unhelpful habit. And there are lots and lots of these different kinds of unhelpful habits which are common to develop. And the helpful habits or skills that were developed on the journey to make the rungs of the ladder to overcome difficulties are also made up from combinations of thinking, emotions, and actions. So, for example, asking for help would be a helpful habit or skill on the rung of the ladder. So grab a paper and pen and make some notes about any unhelpful habits or helpful habits or skills that you hear discussed. In particular, make a note of any connections that emerge or you hear as you listen carefully between different issues discussed. So, welcome everyone, I'm Ray.
I'm Terry, part of the Experts by Experience group.
I'm David, part of the Experts by Experience group.
And David.
And I'm Donna, I'm chair of the Experts by Experience group.
Welcome, Donna. And I'd just like to us to reflect really about relationships and dealing with conflict and sometimes how that can be difficult.
For myself, conflict from a very early age was part of my life, no matter what part I played in it, whether it be the relationship with other people. When I see it, I can get comfortable in it because it's something I'm familiar with. But then now I know that it's not okay to act that way. I try to sit with the feelings that arise through the conflict and try to become less confrontational in my own person.
So am I right in thinking that on reflection you feel more comfortable with conflict because of your early experiences, but now you're kind of reflecting on how you deal with conflict and doing that in a better way, maybe?
Yeah, I never had the life skills to deal with to deal with conflict. So I would use anger as a safety mechanism for myself, to protect myself.
Yeah.
I would use anger. So, but then now that I have better tools in my locker,
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense about you've learned that maybe projecting anger was a way to protect yourself.
yeah.
But then, have you learned some other ways, some tools in the locker about maybe how to kind of deal with conflict?
You know, so I try to take that step back and maybe not, if I can withdraw myself for the situation, I'll maybe withdraw myself for the situation and go away and think about what's the best way to approach it, or I'll contact someone.
And am I right in thinking from what you're saying there, Terry, is that in the past, when there was some conflict in a relationship of some kind, that you'd react and get quite angry as a way to protect yourself, but now you're kind of pressing the pause button and having to think about how to react rather than just getting angry straight away?
Yeah, but I think my anger come out to control. My anger was used as a form of control to control either my feelings or the situation, you know, because when I felt in control, I didn't feel inferior.
Right.
So, and through some conflict, what I would say, well, they think that they're better than me, but we're on a level playing field. So it would just be, I think, for me to say it right, would be, now I don't feel less than. I feel as an equal.
Great. That there's a lot in that. It kind of made me think about self-esteem being tied up with this. So, have I heard you right there?
Yeah. And I believe everybody's got their own voice as of opinions. Do you know what I mean? I don't have to accept other people's opinions if I don't want to, but I don't have to act
Yeah.
in the manner that I used to act, whether it be controlling, anger. I don't have to act like that today.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm just wondering what comes to mind for anyone else here about when you think about conflict and how to deal with that in life.
I think for me, like Terry, from a very young age, you know, like I was always told I was a bad child, I was always told I was this. So I used to react violently, you know. Like growing up through like children's homes and stuff like that, I always felt it was like them and us. Do you know what I mean? I was expected to behave that way, so I did behave that way. You know. Now, you know, looking back, it wasn't acceptable behaviour, you know, and I just wish that somebody had listened. I think it was born out of frustration of nobody listening. But now, you know, I'm more than comfortable sitting there and just saying, well, actually, you know, you're making us feel angry, you're making us feel like this, you know.
So you're able to kind of notice that feeling of anger and actually articulate and say, I feel
this
angry.
is how you're making us feel, and then I can step back, I can go away, give it time to calm down, and then I can come back and talk to the person or whatever.
That's a great skill then. And am I right in listening there and hearing Donna that there have been times in the past when maybe you wouldn't have been able to talk about feeling angry, but would have just maybe acted that out?
I just used to just act like that because I felt like nobody listened to us, full stop, no matter what I said. So, and because it was always expected of us, when you're told that you're something for that long, you behave that way.
That makes sense. And there's something really important to capture there about you feeling not listened to.
You know, you need to be asking yourself why the person feels like that, what's happened in the past to make that person feel like that, why are they behaving like that.
Well, the skill I'm hearing you say there, Donna, is being able to ask yourself and be curious, what's the underlying reasons?
Yeah.
And I suppose that's one of the things we're doing here by having conversations, is to help people to just take a step back and think, actually, there might be underlying reasons like about someone's self-esteem, people not feeling in control. There might be the way they've learned to react to things. They might be feeling not listened to. That can be provoking this kind of challenging behaviour. So I'm just wondering now, David, whether you have any thoughts, anything coming to your mind when you think about this question about dealing with conflict?
Yeah, it's been a major issue in my life for 50 years. I'm 55 now, and it's like for conflict, I've always kind of ran away from that because I didn't have the necessary tools to defend myself.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned now, like, when there's a confrontation, like, I do try and be respectful. If I am being intimidated, I still do the same thing, I just clam up.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm trying to, like, actually just see how I feel calmly, and then people get that, and then say, oh, I've upset you, sorry. And then, and then everything's okay. But it's took me a long journey, 50 years, half a century to get that far, to realise that it's okay to say your opinion. You don't have to shout out loud. Just say you've offended me. And then they kind of go quiet. It's, oh, sorry, I didn't mean it that way. I was just joking. But it's took me a long time for that.
That sounds a great skill to capture, and also what I'm thinking about now, listening to what's been shared, is how different we can all be. So if I heard you right there, David, is your reaction to conflict in life has been to retreat and go quiet and withdraw and not particularly say how you're feeling. But have I heard you right?
Well, I have done that, but the negative thing on that, rather than be angry at that person, I've let the anger fester inside myself. So I'm going away and being angry about it for years and years and years, and playing over that scene all the time, but get myself more and more angry, but not able to let it out.
So there you
So I have an underlying anger problem, which it's very hard to kind of like control. So I've never actually been violent. There's a few times I've actually just burst out, just exploded, because people have always thought me as dead quiet and stuff, but they don't know the rage that's inside. And when I am being intimidated, there's a few times I've actually kind of blown, and they're kind of really shocked.
Anyone want to share something on reflection?
Well, I think on reflection, that from a 3 different points of view, that tool actually just kind of like step back from the anger, which can mean like violence, really, of massive falling out into relationships.
If I've got a strong feeling, and it's me that's feeling that feeling, no one can make me feel a feeling. I feel the feeling myself. No, and then if I'm feeling that, and it's strong in my thinking, then my feelings won't dissipate. They won't. They'll grow, because I then have to, like I said, take a step back, as Dave says, and try and go into no man's land. But I really need to speak to someone else to get someone else's point of view on the situation, because if I don't, then I can still react the way that I would normally react.
That's a good skill to capture then, about maybe it's helpful sometimes to notice that you feel in a conflict and to talk to somebody else who maybe you aren't in the conflict with, am I hearing right? And to kind of understand
in the conflict.
Who isn't in the conflict, and that other person could help you to kind of process and reflect about what's going on.
I think it's a third party.
A third party.
Like having it from a third party perspective, because then they can say, well, you were in the wrong, or I was in the wrong. Like
that makes sense.
I'm just going to use an instance here, right? And it was between Dave and myself, and it was months back, right? Now Dave's got arthritis, and he had a bad night, and he had whatever was going on for Dave. I didn't know what was going on for Dave, and when I've said something to Dave, and Dave's snapped, and my automatic reaction is, boom, I'm straight back at you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
that's the way
yeah.
I've defended myself
Yeah.
in the past.
Yeah.
You know, and because Dave's the other side of the coin,
Yeah.
Dave's the pacifist
Yeah.
who goes introvert.
Yeah.
You know, where I'm the aggressive who'll go
Yeah, yeah.
extrovert.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's Dave's left the situation.
Right.
Now, I now know that probably fed on Dave for a bit of time.
Yeah.
Right, just with what he said here. Right.
Yeah, you have to reflect on it. Yeah.
Yeah, but it also fed on me
Right.
because I felt right. I done that, and It's kind of funny because I phoned Donna to say to Donna, listen, Donna, I've done this. And I've explained the situation to Donna from my side.
Yeah.
And
Your
I
point of
asked-
view. Yeah.
And I asked Donna to speak to Dave, to pass my apologies to Dave, because
Yeah.
my actions were wrong.
Yeah.
No?
You're right.
I don't condone the actions,
Yeah.
but that was the way I dealt with things.
Yeah.
No? And
That's a good example you've given. Yeah.
it's that.
So you
getting
talked
that
to Donna as a
party.
third party to kind of make sense of the conflict and your actions and your feelings of anger.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So that's really something to think about in terms of making sense of things. Any other reflections on this?
What can I answer? I tell you, it's just like how things can happen very quickly. You know, like you just be how you can misinterpret. You know, like what you said to me, I just misinterpreted because I just felt horrible that day, and obviously how I react because I don't like being in an uncomfortable situation.
Yeah.
Not about the person, it's about me because I
Yeah.
can't deal with it.
Yeah.
So that's like, so say it leads back to my early life and everything, and my oversensitive thing. So, but my tool is to get out of the situation.
Right. Yeah.
Because I just really don't feel comfortable, no matter how it is. So that's what happened there, but it happened very quickly.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like it's a flash.
Yeah.
It's like, so it could like imagine happen violently as well.
Yeah.
You know, where it's happening before you're able to kind of process what's happened.
Yeah.
It can be, you know, we're only people, we're only human.
Yeah.
It can't happen, you know, and it does happen. So that's the real key for me, like how people react to that.
I suppose it's what I'm thinking about now is that it's a human. You know, we have to deal with conflict in relationships because we're human beings, and it does. We all feel anger, and then we process that in different ways. But some of the skills are about identifying it. Sometimes talking to a third party to reflect and process what's gone on when we're a bit confused about it. And then there's different tools in the toolbox we can learn about, kind of either being able to say we feel angry and talk about conflict. If we usually retreat from it, or learn not to be aggressive and to learn to again talk about the feelings of anger and conflict. So there's those, we can all develop skills around that. I just wanted to ask Donna any sort of reflections on our discussion before we end about
just like really what Terry and Dave's saying. You know, I've been in situations where I've completely blew up. And then I've like sort of thought, oh God, I shouldn't have like behaved like that. I'll acknowledge I was in the wrong totally, you know, and I'll apologise to the person. But before I apologise to the person, I'll ring someone and I'll just say, just don't even speak, just and give us a chance to. Then I'll just, you know, and I've done that with like Mark before. You know, I've rung him up and I've ranted on at him, and it's safe to do that. And I think as long as you've got, you know, in your head you've got someone safe that you can speak to.
Yeah.
It's all right.
That's a good point. So you're thinking about who's a safe person who will listen,
and who it is that you can trust as well.
To trust,
back to the trust thing.
So there's in linking those points together, we all have to deal with some conflict in our relationships in life because it's human. We all feel angry because that's a human nature. Finding a safe person who can listen to help us to process that is another skill. So I wanted to thank everyone for being part of this discussion. It's been a really, really fruitful, and hopefully it's lots for other people to reflect on and think about too. So thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Ray.
So hopefully you've got a list of helpful habits, these habits of thinking, feeling and acting, and a list of unhelpful habits, and also starting to see the connections between them. It's amazing how much we can learn from just listening to experts by experience for, say, 15 minutes, and then reflecting and making some connections. So I want to thank David and Donna and Terry for sharing. If I reflected on what I've just heard, I start to think how important it is not to stereotype people with complex needs, that everyone's a unique individual. We all are. So some people may be quite comfortable with conflict and have difficulties around sometimes aggression and violence. And part of the skills to learn is to shift a bit more to be able to share what's going on, as Terry put it, kind of sit with those feelings and identify them, and then be able to communicate around a conflict better. But then some people, as David had shared, retreat, but they do feel those strong emotions of anger, but then they might ruminate, and that might go on for a long time. It could lead to other things like depression. So people, they need to shift and be able to tolerate some conflict enough to be able to communicate, even though it feels uncomfortable. And then we're all human beings, so then I can reflect on myself and think, well, I'm a little bit conflict avoidant myself, and then I need to shift a little bit to be able to tolerate some feeling a little bit uncomfortable. We usually go outside when we're a little bit outside our comfort zone. So all those are really positive. So I'd like to invite you now to do some, maybe have an open dialogue with others around these issues that have been raised around conflict. Remember 3 of the principles of open dialogue. So one would be to we only accept that we only partly ever know what's going on. So tolerate some uncertainty and be curious about other people's point of view, as we're all unique individuals on a journey with our own perspective. Secondly, value everybody's point of view in a social network, because we create new knowledge in a dialogue with other people. That's a kind of dialogical idea. And the third principle would be we all need to take responsibility for our part in a social network. We might have access to knowledge and resources that other people don't have, so we need to take responsibility for ourselves and our contribution. And that way we can all find these new pathways, co-produce new pathways to recovery. Finally, it's always good to maybe reflect and think from the film and the reflection and the discussion, is there one thing that if I held in mind what I've learned, is there one thing that I'd do differently, or one helpful habit or skill that I'd practice more as a result of what I've learned just now? Thank you.